They say that deep in the cold forests of Canada, something ancient still stirs. A creature born from starvation, a spirit of insatiable hunger. If you hear your name whispered in the trees, don't follow it. You may be closer to a Wendigo than you think. Today, we're diving into one of Canada's darkest and most fascinating legends, the Wendigo. But this isn't just another monster story. This is a tale that speaks to the deepest fears of the human spirit. Let's begin. The Wendigo legend originates from the First Nations people of Canada and the northern United States, particularly the Algonquin-speaking tribes. It's not just a creature, it's a warning, a symbol of what happens when desperation turns deadly. According to lore, the Wendigo was once human, but through greed, hunger, or the ultimate taboo, cannibalism, it transformed into a twisted creature of endless craving. No matter how much it consumes, it's never full. Descriptions vary. Some say it's gaunt and skeletal, with skin stretched tight over its bones and eyes sunken deep into its skull. Others say it has antlers, glowing eyes, and a heart made of ice. But the one thing everyone agrees on, the Wendigo is terrifying. It represents more than just a physical monster. It's a metaphor for gluttony, selfishness, and the loss of humanity. The earliest tales go back hundreds of years, passed down through generations. Indigenous communities use the legend as a way to teach moral lessons, warnings against excess and betrayal, especially in times of hardship. But the Wendigo wasn't just a myth. In the 1800s and early 1900s, reports of Wendigo sightings and even Wendigo psychosis began appearing. This strange condition was documented by explorers and settlers. Individuals would believe they were turning into Wendigos. Some would even resort to cannibalism, despite having access to food. Others would go mad from the fear alone. One of the most fascinating and tragic figures connected to the Wendigo legend is Jack Fiddler, a respected medicine man of the Sucker people, a Cree nation in what is now northern Ontario. Jack wasn't just a spiritual leader. He was known for his ability to confront and destroy Wendigos, or more specifically, people believed to be possessed by the Wendigo spirit. According to tradition, once a person showed signs of turning, wild eyes, a deep hunger, or a loss of their human self, it was considered a mercy to stop them before they fully transformed. Jack claimed to have defeated at least 14 Wendigos during his lifetime. His ceremonies, knowledge of the land, and spiritual guidance were deeply respected by his people. But to the Canadian authorities of the early 1900s, his actions were not seen as spiritual protection. They were seen as murder. In 1907, Jack and his brother were arrested by the Northwest Mounted Police and charged with homicide for the killings of people believed to be Wendigos. The traditional context of the actions was ignored, and Jack was imprisoned. Before he could be tried, Jack Fiddler died by suicide in custody, possibly knowing he would never be understood by the colonial system that had no place for his culture or beliefs. His brother was later sentenced to death, though eventually pardoned, but only after it was too late. Jack's story is more than folklore. It's a powerful glimpse into the clash between Indigenous knowledge and colonial law, and the legacy of a man who took on the darkness to protect his people, but paid the ultimate price for it. Let me tell you a story I heard from someone who grew up near the boreal forests of Ontario. We'll call him Alex. When Alex was around 12, his uncle took him on a winter camping trip. Deep in the woods, far from any roads or lights, they set up camp. Around the fire, his uncle told him the Wendigo legend, just like we've been discussing. Alex laughed it off. That night, Alex woke up to the sound of snow crunching outside the tent. Thinking it was a deer or maybe a moose, he peeked out. He saw nothing, but the sounds continued, slow, deliberate footsteps circling the tent, then whispering. It was his name, in his mother's voice, but it was impossible. She was hundreds of miles away. His uncle burst out of the tent with a flashlight, but there was nothing there. No tracks, just untouched snow. They left first thing in the morning. There's one particular story that locals around the Great Lakes area still whisper about. In the late 1970s, a group of loggers were working deep in a remote part of northern Ontario. One night, after a long day, they gathered around the fire in their camp. Suddenly, one of the men spotted strange footprints in the snow, much larger than any animal they'd seen before, with elongated toes and claws. That night, one of the loggers, Mike, was woken by a cold breeze and a strange sound, like a low growl mixed with the rustling of branches. When he shone his flashlight outside the cabin, he thought he saw a tall figure with glowing eyes standing just beyond the tree line. The next morning, Mike and his crew found more strange tracks surrounding their camp, almost as if something had been pacing around them all night. Though no one else claimed to see the creature, the feeling of unease stayed with the team. They packed up early and never returned to that part of the forest again. In recent years, the Wendigo has crept into movies, TV shows, and video games. Shows like Supernatural, Hannibal, and Until Dawn have portrayed it as a flesh-hungry monster lurking in the forest. But here's the thing. Most of these versions are more Hollywood than heritage. They focus on jump scares and gore, stripping away the deeper symbolism. To the cultures that originated the legend, the Wendigo is much more than a beast. It's a spiritual force, a reminder of what happens when we lose touch with our humanity. So is the Wendigo real? Well, that depends on what you believe. No physical evidence has ever been found, but strange disappearances, eerie encounters, and stories passed down for generations suggest that something's out there. Even today, there are people who claim to have seen something in the woods, tall, silent, watching. And in winter, when the nights are long and the forests feel alive, some say you can still hear it breathing. More than anything, the Wendigo remains a powerful cautionary tale. It shows how folklore isn't just about fear. It's about survival, culture, and community. The Wendigo may never show its face on camera. It may never leave behind bones or tracks we can study, but the fear it represents is very real. Maybe that's why the legend endures. Because in the silence of winter, when hunger gnaws and shadows stretch long, there's always the chance that something ancient still walks the woods. So if you ever find yourself alone, and the wind begins to whisper your name, don't answer.